Good evening and welcome to News Live from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. My name is Zulayatu Hamid. Coming up in this edition of the news, Bathurst village gets electricity for the first time after more than 200 years. Petty traders at Mabank call on SLRA to repair their ferry. And Moiba community in the east of Freetown complains of poor condition of the main road in the community. Well, all these stories plus news making the headlines in the African continent and sports are lined up in this edition of the news. But first, let's have the coronavirus preventive message.
You see how this woman wearing mask? Now so you self for wear your mask. If for cover your nose and your mouth all time. No use mask way small for you. No take the mask and put under your chin. Not to chin guard. No wear your mask and left your nose na door. Because now you know small the virus they pass for enter your body. Where you wear mask, if you cover your nose and your mouth, take go under your chin. If you not wear and so, it not go protect you. So wear your mask fine all time.
Well, always wear your mask properly and stay safe. Now, the Tertiary Education Commission and the Sierra Leone Police have signed a memorandum of understanding to help the Commission monitor and enforce compliance by tertiary institutions in the country. The signing of the MOU, which took place at the police headquarters, George Street in Freetown, was witnessed by senior management of the Sierra Leone Police, management and commissioners of the Tertiary Education Commission. For more on this, let's join my colleague Ibrahim Samuel.
Tertiary Education Commission and the Sierra Leone Police agreed to support each other in the implementation of the laws, especially in the areas of effective management and protection of tertiary institutions in Sierra Leone. Chairman, Tertiary Education Commission, Professor Aliyajin Al-Ghali, said the MOU was as a result of the increase in number of illegal tertiary institutions operating in the country. He told management of the SLP that the Commission by law has demanded to regulate and monitor activities of tertiary institutions, noting that of late they have noticed the increase of mushroom tertiary institutions.
We as a Commission thought it fit to engage the Sierra Leone Police Force to assist us whenever we get into some difficulties in getting people to conform. In fact, in recent times, we've noticed that the number of institutions that are springing up all over the place is on the increase. Many of them, unless we chase them, they do not come forward to get themselves registered and admitted.
Inspector General of Police Ambrose Sovola welcomed the signing of the MOU, stressing that the SLP is concerned over the dwindling of education in the country. IG Sovola noted that malpractices among tertiary institutions have now become a norm, stating that the police are willing to work with TEC to find a solution.
Bad governance in the sector. There have been educational malpractices from the lower level, the middle level, and the higher level. So with this memorandum, making a very good team that the law enforcers and the tertiary education
ASP Juan Bull, legal advisor, criminal investigation department of the SLP, said the MOU, among other things, will help build synergies in the fight against examination malpractice and increased productivity by tertiary institutions. TC will be closing down tertiary institutions operating illegally, revoking of license of tertiary institutions not adhering to the rules and regulation of the Commission. The MOU runs for 2 years with the likelihood of reviewing terms and conditions for possible extension. Ibrahim Samora, Freetown.
As a way to curb the spread of COVID-19, the Sierra Leone Maritime Administration has introduced a digital voice reminder on the preventive measures to staff and visitors. Public Relations Officer, Sierra Leone Maritime Administration, Mohamed Kamar, said the system is unique. Joseph Toure has more.
Your hands and wear your face mask before entering this building. Thank you.
This audio device, placed strategically above the entrance to the main building of the Sierra Leone Maritime Administration, would be seen as a great move in increasing efforts on preventive measures against COVID-19. Even though the number of daily COVID-19 positive cases is reducing in the country, complacency in responding to the disease, experts say, should not be seen, especially in public places and institutions. But why would such step at this particular time, though?
We want COVID-19 to go because of COVID-19 it is in this country. That is where we have this system. And because of, that when COVID-19 erupted globally, when it became a global pandemic, there are a lot of other countries that did their own measures in terms of stopping the virus. And different institutions, but for us, our own system is very unique in the sense it reminds people.
Such move is one that other public institutions should emulate, as preventive measures are key in responding to the disease until a vaccine is developed. However, the sustainability of such technology is key amid the fight against COVID-19. SLBC, Joseph Toure reporting.
The 15-year-old victim in the ongoing alleged sexual penetration matter involving leader of the Alliance Democratic Party, ADP, said during cross-examination that on the 14th of February, when Mohamed Kamarimba Mansare sexually penetrated her at Diamond Lodge Hotel, it was her first sexual experience. She further said that after the penetration, she barely managed to walk out of the room to the direction where Kamarimba's vehicle was parked. Amina Shnyande Brema has the details.
Mohamed Kamarimba Mansare is standing trial at the Sexual Offences Model Court in Freetown on a 7-count charge ranging from sexual penetration to conspiracy and to meeting a child for sexual purposes. Lead Defense Counsel representing Mohamed Kamarimba Mansare, lawyer Emmanuel Safa Abdullah, in his cross-examination challenged the victim's statement to police that there were 3 bedrooms in Kamarimba's residence, but when police did their check-in, it was 4 bedrooms, and she confirmed it to be 2. It was put to the victim that Kamarimba was not in Kono on 14th February 2020, but she said Mohamed Kamarimba Mansare was in Kono and maintained he first sexually penetrated her on Valentine's Day, 14th February 2020. When asked as to when she started experiencing her menstrual period, the victim replied at age 13. She shed tears when lawyer Emmanuel Safa Abdullah put it to her that Kamarimba never penetrated her and confirmed it was the second accused, Marion, that dressed her and did her hair on 14th February for the encounter with Mohamed Kamarimba Mansare. Lawyer Emmanuel Safa Abdullah further confronted the victim that she was lying in her testimony in court when she said Kamarimba took her in a green vehicle, but in her statement to police, she said he took her in a grey vehicle. He confronted the witness that the date they came to Freetown was not in March, but the victim, in her reply, disagreed and said it was in March. Lawyer Emmanuel Safa Abdullahi also confronted the victim that on the 14th February 2020, Kamarimba never took her to Diamond Lodge Hotel, and she insisted he took her there on 2 occasions where he sexually penetrated her twice. At this juncture, lawyer Abdullahi deferred cross-examination of the witness so that he could confront the witness on her birth certificate. The victim, during cross-examination by lawyer Jesse Mudajengu, representing second accused Marion Lamin Aruni, confirmed she had known the first accused, Mohamed Kamarimba Mansouri, sometimes in January, when he visited the second accused and her husband. When lawyer Jengo put it to the victim that her mother had warned her not to get pregnant at an early age like her, Justice Samuel O. Taylor said the question was unfair as he should not refer to the victim's mother, and he told lawyer Jengo to rephrase, at which time lawyer Jengo put it to her that the victim's mother used to caution her about the danger of teenage pregnancy, and the victim said her mother never told her such. The victim was confronted that it was because second accused Marion Lamin Aruni seized her cloth that she framed both first and second accused in the sexual penetration allegation, but she said it was because she was tired with the situation and added all what she said in court was the truth. During re-examination, State Prosecutor Umu Sumare asked the victim what situation she was referring to during cross-examination. Lawyer Emmanuel Safa Abdullahi objected to that question, but his objection was overruled by the presiding judge, Justice Samuel O. Taylor, and the victim responded she was fed up living with second accused Marion Lamin Aruni, her aunt. At this stage, the defense team renewed their applications for bail, but their applications were turned down by Justice Samuel O. Taylor, but however assured that he will consider bail on Saturday, 5th September 2020 based on the quality of the evidence. The accused persons, Mohamed Kamarimba Mansouri and Marion Lamin Aruni, were remanded in prison. It is alleged the victim's aunt Marion Lamin Aruni is accused to have conspired with Mohamed Kamarimba Mansouri to sexually penetrate the victim aged 15, but they both denied the allegations in court. While the matter was adjourned to Saturday, 5th September 2020. SLBC News, Amina Nyande Ibrahima.
The Ministry of Trade and Industry has ended a strategic forum on the budget process for the year 2021 to 2023 medium-term national development plan. MDs are required to align their strategic plans with that of the national plan of government for the period under review, with a theme unearthing the strength of our hidden economy. The strategic forum aimed at identifying critical interventions to transform the informal sector of the economy into the formal sector and promoting inclusive growth and development. Mariam Asuma witnessed the meeting and she now reports.
Trade is a fundamental catalyst for developments in any nation. Sierra Leone is ranked 43rd among 47 countries in the sub-Saharan African region, and its overall score is well below the regional and world averages. Although its economic freedom had improved earlier in the decade, Sierra Leone fell back into the repressed category in 2019 and remained there in 2020. As a result, the government of Sierra Leone has capitalized human development as its core intervention, which entails the development of skills to enhance livelihood and better opportunities. Minister of Finance Jacob Jusu Safa noted that the government is supporting the establishment of microcredit funds to provide access to capital and is investing substantially on livelihood development, which is inclusive of the small and medium enterprises. He added that his ministry has been working tirelessly with the Ministry of Trade and Industry together with the Office of the Attorney General to enter into an agreement with credible funds for the establishment of local industry in furtherance of government industrialization.
Again, we are working with the Ministry of Trade currently, that's supporting behind the scenes some of the additional reforms that may be taking place. This is just part of the process. And we are kept financing it. One of these reforms are put in place. You need the strongest professional ministers. You You need somebody who can project and predict prices out there, even local prices as possible. There are models to use. You need those type of skills. But let me just listen to see, in the reform process, some people may be displaced.
There is a very strong positive correlation between the country's economic development and the quality of its road. Hence, the Minister of Works and Public Assets, Peter Bayoku Conte, emphasized that there is no way trade can flourish without a good road network.
That the government over the past several months has been investing heavily in the road sector to complete roads that we inherited, roads, though not funded roads, but also partly funded by the government of Sierra Leone, like the Bo and the Juma Road, the Pendembu Kalang Road, the Toke Road, the Hillside Bypass Road, the Banduma Mano River Union River Road. So these are roads that we are currently working on trying to complete. I hope they will be completed. Some will be completed by the end of December, others after the December, I'm sure by maybe March.
In his keynote address, Minister of Trade and Industry, Dr. Edward Ingasandi, informed participants that the meeting provided an opportunity to re-examine themselves in the light of what they had been doing in the preceding years and take remedial measures to smoothen the path. As a critical building block of the growth sector, he added, the Ministry of Trade and Industry is charged to enhance private sector development through the formulation and implementation of appropriate policies and regulatory frameworks.
All have seen the marketing opportunities coming. We have the ETLs, the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme, that allows West African countries to trade with each other under duty concessions. We're now going to start very soon the Continental Free Trade Agreement. And what all of these mean is, if Sierra Leone is not productive, then we are going to be consumptive. And this is where we want to find ourselves. And that's why the emphasis for having sessions of this nature is really very, very relevant, so that we come and have a rethink on what growth path this country should take and what support we give to economic diversification.
Meanwhile, to effectively discharge their responsibilities, the Ministry of Trade has crafted a shared vision which is intended to develop effective and capable institutions that are responsive to the needs of the people of Sierra Leone and accountable to them. Hence, they have envisaged that by 2028, Sierra Leone will become a middle-income country with private sector-led inclusive growth. For SLBC News, Maria reporting.
Residents of Ward 409 and 413 in Poti in the late hours of Tuesday 25th August were left traumatized by a mudslide. Over 100 persons were displaced but no fatalities. The Office of National Security, together with World Food Programme and other partners, have provided cooking condiments for 11 households that were affected. The items are to last for 30 days. The Acting Director of Disaster Management Department, Office of National Security, Sine Mansare, said they received the news of the mudslide with shock. The reason World Food Programme and ONS provided the support. He explained that the area is a waterway and that is why cracks are still evident, maintaining that 10 other houses have been threatened. The director said that was the first time residents in disaster-struck areas were willing to leave the area, as their lives worth more than the packages that have been provided for them. The National Conservation Society of Sierra Leone National Board has concluded its appraisal of the western area with a visit to number 2 River area. As Harold William reports, the Conservation Society is urging civil society to monitor what appears to be continual encroachment into the National Park Forest Reserve of the western area.
The number 2 river area is unique because it is an environmental corridor where at one stretch one can see the beach adjacent to mangrove wetlands merging into high mountain forests. This blend of three distinct ecosystems on a geographic peninsula is unique in Africa and for the world undisputedly only to be seen in Sierra Leone. Within just a year of their induction as a board, these trustees of the Conservation Society of Sierra Leone were visibly dismayed by the rate at which this particular area of forest at Number 2 River had been cleared. Although there are permits for subsistence agriculture within the area, and although there is a buffer zone between the national park and community lands, it would seem as though these boundaries are being breached brazenly by those who were, or perhaps do not realize that these forests have been protected by the National Protected Area Authority Act.
I'm pointing directly to a small patch of land that is clearly an encroachment. Somebody has cleared that in the hope that they can claim it. But you can see clearly that is part of the forest that has been cleared away.
The retention dam at the Guma Valley Water Company can be clearly seen from this area, yet the sound of power source can be heard within the forest. As a course of action, the Conservation Society of Sierra Leone is suggesting that the GPS coordinates of the national park be retrieved so that sites such as beacons within the forest can be technically verified as legal or illegal. This will be the starting point of their future advocacy to return the forest to its status as a national park, wildlife, and forest reserve.
In this part, we see the classic examples of deforestation and human encroachment. Formerly, in 2008, when this forest was marked out as a Western Area National Park, some of these points were within the forest. It only remains to have the GPS coordination points available to ascertain whether where we are standing is actually part of the former forest or is actually part of the buffer zones, which should be managed by the Ministry of Land, Country Planning and the Environment.
Petty traders at Mabang community have called on SLRA to repair their ferry. According to them, since the ferry had a breakdown over 6 months ago, vehicles have not been plying the route. They said the breakdown of the Mabang ferry has led to low sales. Francis Danema reports.
Collapsed in February 2013, disrupting the movements of vehicular traffic and slowed down businesses in Ribi, Bupe and other chiefdoms in Moyamba district. The Sierra Leone Roads Authority, SLRA, made a ferry to minimize the suffering of people for transportation and to increase business activities. The Mabang Bridge contract was finally awarded to CSC after the failure of the Portuguese construction company MSF to live up to expectations. These people expressed happiness for the job but complained that the breakdown of the ferry has greatly impacted their businesses and movements.
The ferry are waiting on CSC ferry.
Currently, Mabang ferry is grounded.
Driver there, one in the course there.
But CSC is not allowing other
people help with that side. The same way they move to cabin fast now. So business continuously, but right now
business is no longer thriving. We have convinced CSC to help us, but they have not responded to our plea. We are really suffering. We are pleading with SLRA to kindly negotiate with CSC to make the available.
So they give way for them to carry us, so they give way for them to carry the passer. We they get them back where they walk by the ferry, then they get while they for the ferry. If they make the ferry, they get sent.
To repair the ferry so that our sales can increase again. I used to sell these cakes in this bucket within a day, but now it takes more than 5 days.
But if they made this ferry, they will sell them and use it now.
this is the only means of transportation now here for the people. If you want to cross from Potloko district to Moyamba district using the Mabang road, you have to use this means. If not, you cannot get to that point. A lot of explanations have been given by the people, and they said they are really happy with the work that is going on. But however, are pleading with CSC to make them use the ferry that they have made, and they are saying that they should kindly make it available, accessible to other vehicles, so that they can have businesses, they can have vehicle and movements here and all the rest, instead of risking their lives using this scaling, as I am also risking my life today. According to SLRA, procurement process is completed for the awarding of contracts for the maintenance of the ferry. SLRA did not, however, reply as to whether they will engage CSC to allow their ferry to transport vehicles and people. SLBC, however, saw some progress made in the construction of the bridge. SLBC News, Francis Danema reporting.
Residents of Moiba community have called the government to fix the main road leading to the community. According to the residents, the deplorable condition of the road has made movement in the vicinity extremely difficult, especially for riders and pedestrians. A reporter, Mohamed Lamin Toure, has been following the story.
This is Moiba community at the east end of Freetown. It is one of the densely populated areas in the capital city. Stone breaking is common in this community, as it serves as the main source of livelihood for majority of the community people. The community links other areas in that part of the country. Despite these latest developments, the issue of having good roads has been an age challenge. Some prefer walking to and from the community to boarding motorbikes in fear of getting injured.
More challenging, very much challenging, of course, as you can see. So many bikes fall into an accident. You know, we see many pregnant women fall into an accident here because this is a bike route. Mostly, there is no commercial transportation except Bukadas who are using this route. So it's really challenging, and it's caused so many burden on them because of the deplorable condition of the road.
For Santigi Editure, they are frustrated over the issue.
Even the cost of Okadas very much, and let me say 3,000, 4,000, and that cost is too much. And the reason being because of the deplorable condition of the road. That is the reason. And let me say, the night time very difficult for the people. The night time, and overprices by the Okada riders. That's all a financial burden to the people as well.
Refilling the potholes, Councillor Ward 419 Solomon Kamara said was a proactive step to reduce the risks of road injuries, among other things. Also, it could be recalled that the community had recently suffered from a mudslide, leaving 7 people homeless. Meanwhile, the donation of food and non-food items by Councillor Solomon Kamara through the Freetown City Council was to cushion the burden amidst their recent loss. Receiving the materials, one of the victims, Fatmata Sheriff, lauded the councillor for the support and said he was the first person to have come to their aid.
The Ministry of Health and partners have commissioned a lab for COVID-19 testing in Makeni. The lab, which was described as a boost to the fight against coronavirus in Bombali district, will also serve other districts. Hassan Forekama reports.
Speaking to reporters after a ceremony held at Wosum Hotel Conference Hall, the Minister of Health and Sanitation, Professor Alpha Tijanwuri, said the development was part of the ongoing response to COVID-19 and also the development of the health system in the country. He said the lab was among the other 5 labs for testing that government and its partners have worked together to install. He said apart from conducting COVID-19 tests, it will also be used to look out for other viral diseases.
That every Sierra Leonean should feel proud that we are now, this is the 5th or the 6th lab we are setting up. all manned by sirens with one or two professional supports. In the same way, we would hope to be able to expand the skills into clinical laboratory setting in 2021. So this will not only not be a public health intervention, but also a clinical one as well.
Professor Tijanwuri said despite the challenges, there has been significant progress in the transformation drive of the health sector, adding that the science base is getting better. He continued to encourage citizens to stick to the preventive measures, immediately report to the health facilities when they have the symptoms, and most of all go for voluntary testing. The development was actualized with concerted efforts from local and international partners, including WHO, ICAP, CDC, CHAMPS and partners in health. The WHO representative.
We did a lot in doing the training for the scientists. We've trained 30 scientists that will actually be not just for McKinney. McKinney will be 6, but the rest will be deployed in other parts of the country. We've also participated in equipping the lab itself, and we will continue to also mentor these newly graduated scientists to ensure that they continue. And as WHO, we are also committed to supporting the payment for the first 6 months as the government tries to see how this will continue. Secondly, we are also working with other partners like Germany. We work with the German government who actually gave us also some resources to procure testing kits that will actually be given to the population of and this lab testing here in McKinney and the rest of the country.
The District Medical Officer Dr. Furisi and the Coordinator District COVID-19 Emergency Response Center DICOVAC Alhaji Mohamed Mugambo Siafa expressed gratitude to government and its partners. They said the COVID-19 law will increase confidence in terms of reporting and treating and also eliminate challenges in the delay of test reports in the fight.
Well, in the past, when we get specimen, when we get suspected cases, we get for collect them, get a vehicle.
In the past, specimen and suspected cases were collected, got a vehicle, fueled it, and transported them to Freetown or Kenema. That took time.
So that they take time.
Dr. Furisi said cases of COVID-19 were occasionally recorded at the moment. Bombali District has documented about 50 cases, 15 deaths, most of them in communities, and over 600 people in quarantine homes.
With coronavirus affecting all sectors and activities, the government had no option but to impose restrictions in order to roll back the disease. Following the easing of some of the health protocols, the Sierra Leone police are now able to send some of their personnel for peacekeeping operations in Somalia after intensive physical and other trainings. In this interview with SABC's Ibrahim Samura, the deputy head of police media Samuel Sayo Conte says 80 police personnel will be leaving Freetown early this month.
This is the final aspect of 80 peacekeepers who will be going to Somalia on the 6th of September 2020. It has been a very fine coordination and cooperation with the government and the Sierra Leone police. So in that regard, because of COVID-19, they are not permitted to go in that large number, 160, because 160 makes up the FP, which we call Formed Police Unit. Because of the COVID, it was split into 2 batches. So the first batch, as I said initially, will leave on the 6th of September, and the second batch will leave on the 29th of September 2020.
So how transparent was the process in selecting officers for the peacekeeping mission?
That's a very brilliant question, and I want to say without any doubt that the process, Ibrahim, has been very much transparent and it was very fair. All regions were taken into consideration and all applicants were treated fairly. They've gone through the necessary processes We have certain criteria which, if you meet those criteria, then you are fit to go on mission. So, generally speaking, it was a fair process, transparent process, and a very thorough, sincere process.
What different responsibilities you carrying out upon deployments?
Yes, of course, for the formed police unit, specifically their own mandate is to provide securities for the IDPs. And we also know that when it comes to country-owned equipment, that is the COE, Sierra Leone has been ranked as one of the most fine or fit countries that have a very good COE. So that is a kudos for us in this country, and we are expecting this batch that will be leaving the shores of Sierra Leone for Somalia to also maintain and fly high the green, white and blue flag. They should bear in mind that other batches have set the pace. They should also go there to maintain or improve on that pace. So generally, their mandate is security provision and also protecting the IDPs.
So SP Continental talk about the contingent that will be leaving in September, early September. What are different personnel that made up of this contingent?
Thank you very much. Of course, it's a professional contingent, I will say. It has doctors, nurses, engineers, communicators, drivers, you name it. So all of those put together, I would say it's a very professional contingent.
Now that they are about to leave the shores of Sierra Leone to represent the country.
Very professional training, I would say. They've gone through trainings like physical fitness. They've gone through, of course, communication skills. They've gone through conflict resolutions, technical strategies. They've also gone through computing, and finally they've gone through interview skills and covert surveillance.
That was the Deputy Head of Police Media, SP Samuel Sayo Conte, ending that interview with Ibrahim Samura. Now, Bathurst village has, for the first time since it was established, started receiving electricity from the national grid. The new 1000 kVA transformer was commissioned by the Minister of Energy, Alhaji Kanja Sisi. William Wise was there and he sent in this report.
It was a day of celebration for residents of Bathurst, who had always dreamt of having power from the main grid like the rest of other nearby communities. Bathurst village has gone for more than 200 years without electricity. The absence of power supply in this village no doubt had serious effect on the lives of these locals. Minister of Energy Alhaji Kanja Sisi said Part 5 of the SLPP manifesto seeks to provide energy for any meaningful development which will reduce poverty. The minister said the 1000 kVA transformer at Bathurst village is the biggest transformer he has so far commissioned since he embarked on the energy reformation process.
Well, we are a responsive ministry and the government. We got a request from them, and the case they presented to us was so strong and compelling that we say no. I cannot imagine that Bathurst, very, very close to it, and in fact in the western area, would have been without electricity for 204 years. There are about 3,000 customers, and electricity, you imagine, the fact that we have brought such a huge facility, this big transformer, the customers are going to emit rapidly.
Headman of the village, Theophilus Johnson, described the events as historic, as they have always been in blackout. He said their children over the years have performed poorly in public exams because they do not have electricity to study at night. He assured the minister that they will protect the transformer from thieves. Residents of the village lauded President Bio for bringing electricity in their village. It is believed that with this 1000 kVA transformer, residents of Bathurst will enjoy quality electricity. News Hour in Freetown, William Wise reporting.
Media Reform Coordinating Group, in partnership with Media Foundation for West Africa, with funding by the Embassy of the Kingdom of Netherlands in Ghana, has trained media practitioners on their safety during their line of duty. The forum aimed at capacitating the journalists on how to protect themselves in public events and enhance the freedom of the press. Cynthia Kamau witnessed the training at James Service Hall, Jones Street in Freetown.
The Media Reform Coordinating Group thought it fit to engage journalists, both print and media, in order to guide them on how to remain safe in the line of duty. Many journalists have been taken behind bars because of misinformation or when they are covering protests. Chairman MRCG Dr. Francis Owen noted that journalists have come under attack on many occasions by state personnel. Many a time, he went on, those who carried out those attacks were not brought to book, and that has resulted to the culture of impunity. One of the facilitators, BBC's Umaru Fofana, dealt exclusively on the safety of journalists in daily media work. He engaged journalists on how to produce responsible fact-based coverage while at the same time staying safe. He admonished media practitioners to prioritize their own safety at all times. Given instances of doing coverage on protest or rally, he stressed a reporter must discuss with his editors before going to the field as their lives count. Mr. Fofana encouraged journalists not to carry arms, spying equipment or jewelries when covering riots and protests. He told the journalists that there is no story worth compromising a man's life. He admonished female journalists to avoid tight-fitting trousers or high-heel shoes, which will not pay them good in case of an incident. On digital and cyber safety, he urged media practitioners to be mindful of what they post on social media. Director of ONS Francis Languba Kylie encouraged media personnel to approach security personnel with courtesy and build a cordial relationship with them. But when there is a deliberate perception between the media and the security forces, it creates room for a lot of misconception. For SLBC News, Cynthia Kamar reporting.
You're still watching News Live from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. It's now time for news around the African continent. A scathing report into the use of South Africa's COVID-19 relief fund has revealed overpricing and potential fraud, the Auditor General says. Kimi Makwetu says the audit uncovered frightening findings. In some cases, personal protective equipment was bought for 5 times more than the price the National Treasury had advised. The report also has flagged up 30,000 relief grants which require further investigation. Mr. Makwetu has been tracing the spending of 500 billion rand, which is equivalent to 10% of the country's gross domestic product. A lot of the effort that we put into this on the detection side of things has revealed a number of frightening findings that require to be followed up very quickly so that there is no significant passage of time before the required actions are implemented, he said at a press conference on Wednesday. The allocated funds were meant to assist vulnerable households with food parcels, unemployment grants, support small business, farmers, and also procure personal protective equipment. The U.S. has imposed sanctions on senior officials in the International Criminal Court, including Chief Prosecutor Fatou Bensouda. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo accused the court of illegitimate attempts to subject Americans to its jurisdiction. The Hague-based ICC is currently investigating whether U.S. forces committed war crimes in Afghanistan. The U.S. has criticized the court since its foundation and is one of a dozen states which have not signed up. Balkish Jara, senior personnel at the non-governmental organization Human Rights Watch, condemned the sanctions as a shameful new law for U.S. commitment to justice for victims of war crimes. Mr. Pompeo's move marked a stunning perversion of U.S. sanctions devised to penalize rights abusers and kleptocrats to target those prosecuting war crimes. She tweeted, created by a UN treaty in 2002, the ICC investigates and brings to justice those responsible for genocide, crimes against humanity and war crimes, intervening when national authorities cannot or will not prosecute. The U.S. government has cut $100 million in aid to Ethiopia over the ongoing dispute about the construction of a mega dam on the River Nile, news agency Reuters reports, quoting a U.S. congressional source. Up to $100 million or so will be affected, of which $26 million is funding that expires at the end of the financial year, the source told Reuters. The move is likely to be seen as U.S. President Donald Trump pushing Ethiopia after the country rejected U.S.-led mediation with Egypt and Sudan, the other parties in the dispute. But an official at the U.S. State Department told Financial Times that the decision was temporary. Ethiopia claimed that the U.S. was biased and backed Egypt in the talks. The aid cut comes just over a month after Ethiopia announced that it had started withholding water in the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. Well, that's all for news around the African continent. It's now time to find out what's happening in the world of sports.
Hello, I am Francis Bernard with the latest in sport in this edition of the news. Head of Media and Marketing, Sierra Leone Football Association, Ibrahim Kamara, has told SLBC that the FA has received the aborted 2020 Sierra Leone Premier League report. The report, according to Ibrahim, is being looked at by the executive of the FA in order to come out with a final decision as to which club will be eligible to represent the country in the CAF Champions League and CAF Confederation Cup.
We're actually yet to arrive at any conclusive position or decision with regards the issue about Sierra Leone sending teams to represent us in the CAF Champions League and the CAF Competitions Cup because of the status of our league, taking into consideration the global pandemic COVID-19, which seriously disrupted and prevented the league from making progress. We couldn't even complete the first round. We still have about 7 matches to complete the first rounds of the league. So it's really difficult to take a decision on that. But however, the issue is presently in front of the executive committee. What we did was to contact the Premier League board when we received the communique from CAF with regards, representation and all of that. We contacted the Premier League board because obviously we know they are the best people that could speak to us with regards to the status of the league, because they are the ones that we put in charge directly to run the league. So yes, it took them some time, but they've got back to us. They've given us a report with regards to the status of the league, standings, the situation surrounding what is happening, what is not happening, and they even provide a few recommendations, basically, which we are going to look at very seriously. And this is not to say we are going to work in line with the recommendations, but yes, we are going to work with respect to the recommendations, but then in line with international best practice and in line with what is interpreted in the law books of the game.
There is this
has got started. Basically, the 31st of August is the start of the opening, for the registration of teams. That is to say, that is a period of time every member association has the opportunity to register
their teams to represent them in the CAF Champions League and the CAF Confederations Cup respectively. So yes, the 31st of August is the opening and the closing is on the 20th of September basically. So we still have a lot of time basically to look at things if there's going to be the possibility. Then we're going to look at the situation, like I said, surrounding the league status. First of all, we have to look at it very keenly. It's not going to take long. Okay. It's less than a week. There is a caveat there, which is tagged around the club license requirements, basically. So that is to say, any club that is to leave any member association, any country, not just Sierra Leone, to go to CAF Champions League and CAF Confederations Cup has got certain criteria to fulfill.
So what are these criteria?
A good number of them. Most of them do know. I mean, criteria like, first of all, the club has got to have a Team B, a junior team. You've got to have a playground. You understand? All of these facilities, apart from just being able, because also the finance, it's your responsibility directly as a club to take care of yourself. You understand? To go represent the country.
And in the international scene, Serena Williams began her pursuit of a record equaling 24th Grand Slam singles title with a dominant 7-5, 6-3 win over fellow American Christy Ann. The 38-year-old went a breakdown in both sets, but recovered to win an hour and a half as she chases Margaret Court's Grand Slam title. But she will not reach on the next round by her sister, Venus Williams. And in football, the Lionel Messi saga continues with Barcelona as his father arrived in Spain to hold talks with club president Josep Bartomeu about the Argentina international's future, according to Sky Sports. Messi has already agreed a 5-year deal with City Football Group worth £623 million that will see him spend 3 seasons at Manchester City before joining MLS side New York City FC. But that's all we have time for in this edition of Sports Updates on the News. I am Frances Bernard. Thanks for watching and keep watching the SLBC.
Many thanks to Frances Bernard. Well, it's now time for entertainment news. Hello and welcome to Entertainment News. I am Daphne Kimamacaulay. A Sierra Leonean who is based in Australia, Magaji Samora has released his first single after 4 years of absence from the stage. The new single, Real Ones, is set to meet international standards.
Tired of waiting, I've been patient for too long now. Always chasing, never faking, got some real ones. Ain't no switching side by side, we got loyalty. Time to get this moolah, ain't no changing who I'm supposed to be. Let's go get this bag. Going too fast on the road, hope we don't crash. She want me back in the moan, I got pass.
Because he wants to remain relevant in the music industry in Sierra, he has established a record label called Adverse Rain, which would nurse young artists in Sierra Leone to achieve their dreams of becoming entertainers. Magaji is a disc jockey who has had many challenges in his career path as a musician.
I've been making music for about, 8 years now, and I feel like, before stepping out of my shell, into the industry, I wanted to be able to, own my own independent record label, because I felt like I didn't want to be a slave to the industry. And I feel like it's important for people to actually be able to be their own bosses in that. And me creating Adverse Rain just creates a platform not just for me but for all the African artists, to be able to showcase the talent in that and just be able to strive for greatness.
Everybody, my name is Dorothy Bacho and I'm the new BB Niger Season 5 housemate.
And now to the Big Brother Niger 2020, we are going to profile Adair Dorothy. Born in November 4th, 1995, Dorothy hails from Delta State but grew up in Lagos, Nigeria. She is the second child of 4 children. 24-year-old Linda Dorothy Bacho lives in Lagos State, Nigeria. The CEO of Shop For Me online business is one of the most talked about housemates in the Big Brother Nigeria 2020 with a professional certificate in procurement. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for joining us. Many thanks to Daphne Kima Macaulay for the entertainment news. Well, to end news for tonight, a recap of the main points. Bathurst village now has electricity for the first time after more than 200 years. Petty traders at Mabank have called on SLRA to repair their ferry. And Moiba community in the east of Freetown have complained of poor condition of the main road in the community. Well, that's all in this edition of the news. Thanks for sharing your time with us. My name is Zulayat Hamid. It's goodbye for now.